Okay, there we go. Hello, welcome to episode 439 of the Self-Help Podcast with me, Ed Lamb, and my good pal, Sean Orford. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing fine. I'm good. How are you?
Very good to see you. Yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling fit as a fiddle, and I'm all set for the onset of winter and a bit of bit of comfort eating perhaps, and a bit of sitting, getting cozy by the fire and all that.
Are you looking forward to it?
Well, I am actually, yeah. That kind of busy time has started over in the UK, hasn't it? Well, we've just had Halloween, and now it's bonfire night coming up, and we seem to have loads of family birthdays around now as well. So lots going on.
I think people split between I love the autumn and snuggling up by the fire and all that kind of stuff, to people that, I hate it. I want the summer. Give me it back.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's funny how we do have our favorite seasons, people, don't we? I'm probably more of a spring summer kind of guy, really, but
yeah,
autumn and winter comes around regardless, doesn't it? So maybe we can do a little bit to help people enjoy it. Because no point.
To me, I think so. If it's warm enough for shorts and a t-shirt, I'm happy.
Yeah, same. Yeah. But we don't want people, feeling like they're losing 6 months of the year or their whole lives for the rest of their lives. So let's see if we can help them out. We're going to talk a little bit about avoiding winter weight and how we can kind of have a healthy relationship with food through the winter months, aren't we?
And it is a case of, it's not what happens, it's how we respond, which is the bit that's important. So, okay, we're going to go through some cold stuff, fine. So what are we going to do to make it feel better?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
All right. So quick shout out to the website, livingthepresent.co.uk. Should be working. It was working last time I checked. Check it out for all the show notes and links, Sean's blog post, and all previous episodes as well as ever. And do drop us an email if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in an upcoming episode. We always love to hear from our listeners. What have you been up to, Sean, then, before we get started? How's life?
It's been like a social whirlwind, in the sense that I don't know whether it is people are coming out of the concept of COVID, but we've had lots of kind of family get-togethers, which have been fun. It's been good, and meals and things. So it's been quite a busy time. Like the weekend seemed to have blurred into the weeks a bit. So
same.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, it was half term for us last week as a family, and lots of kids off. So we had a little trip down to Guildford to see some family there, and what else did we do? Legoland and all that stuff as well. So yeah, and I think I might have mentioned it in last week's episode when we recorded, actually, that we had a little bit of time in just a couple of hours in central London, just wandering around. It's like amazed at the kind of, it's such a culture shock. I'm not a country boy by any stretch, but like when you're used to spending your time knocking around in Liverpool and Birkenhead and just, suburban paradise of the world, that London can be a bit of a culture shock, can't
it? Because I was brought up in London, the thing that fascinated me was, when you're in London, you can never see where the sky meets the land. There's always something in the way.
Yeah.
And when you go outside of London, it's like, wow, you can see distance. And that's a real treat to me. And when I go into London now, I feel a bit kind of closed in by it.
Yeah.
Because I can't see the open space.
Yeah. Yeah, same. We were quite happy to escape back to the burbs, but amazing place. But go on. What's triggered this one then, Sean? We're talking about avoiding the winter weight.
Well, I'm just aware of the fact that I've got people that are talking to me about going into winter and the issues that come with winter, like the depression and all that kind of stuff. And with that comes the weight. But there's something that I'm very aware of. I don't want to sound too politically incorrect here, but I'm just aware of how many people around me, I don't mean my family, I mean in the street when you're walking around and looking at everybody, is like how big people are getting. And that joke about, are you doing the COVID 5K, which isn't the run, it's the weight that you've put on, because people have been sat down doing nothing during lockdown. So I'm seeing people a lot bigger. And I know that as we go into winter, people are going to put on weight anyway. Most people do. Unless you're a real kind of gym head, then most people are going to put on, half a stone, whatever. But is the 5K that people put on during COVID going to become the 10K by the time we get to the spring? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to link to a couple of articles and a Wikipedia entry just to kind of talk about how the UK is doing health-wise and obesity levels, that kind of thing, just so you can see that, yeah, it is not something that Sean's seen when he's out and about. It's happening, and it has been happening for a long time, 20, 30
Yeah, no, we're getting bigger and
years.
bigger, aren't we? Yeah.
We are collectively, and yeah, so we don't want to point the finger at anyone, or even people listening to this. They might be kind of, I don't know, feeling a bit uncomfortable. This isn't about kind of shaming, is it? This is about, I mean, it is possible as well to be overweight and like deliriously happy as well. So, there's probably a happy medium there, I would say.
I think it's understanding the connection between food and mood, which is the key to weight, really. Yeah. But we'll have a look at that as we go along here.
We will. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit to start with about the kind of natural cycle in the kind of northern hemisphere, at least because we are kind of designed, aren't we, or at least like to put on a bit of winter excess to get us through the winter season. So it's natural to put on a bit of weight, early.
Yeah, but there's a but to that. There's a but. As humans moved up from the equator and got into the colder regions, they developed this habit of, during the winter months, putting on more weight. So they had food, in effect, but also the fat kept you warm. Right now, that habit has stayed with us, but we don't live outside in the cold anymore. We live inside centrally heated houses, so we've got the habit without the need for it. So normally, any animals living in the north would put weight on in the autumn coming into winter, and they'd use those calories to burn off and keep themselves going until they got to the spring, and then they'd become slim again. But we don't do that. What we've done is we live in these isolated boxes that are at a temperature completely different to outside, but we still carry on with the behavior as though we were outside, which is why we put on the weight and we don't lose it.
Yeah, I'm just putting a link in the show notes as well about how like lower temperatures can help you lose weight. Just on a bit of a whim, I was thinking about that then. It does look like there's quite a bit of research and information that you can look at. I did see an article yesterday or a tweet saying that the average UK home, or some statistic about it, has like an average temperature through the winter of 24 degrees. And now it was being posted as a, it's very high, yeah, and it's been posted as a kind of from the environmental aspect, saying that we're wasting way too much gas, mainly burning it to heat our homes to kind of levels that we really don't need. Now, beyond the environmental stuff, I wonder, and this looks like there's some interesting stuff to say that maybe if you drop your thermostat, obviously you'll save some money. You'll kind of do your bit for the environment, but maybe this could be also a little weight loss technique as well, because I assume your body has to keep itself warm, has to burn energy to kind of keep your core temperature up.
Yeah. The other thing is that if you are cold and you're outside and you shiver, the act of shivering actually burns calories.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean that, and then that kind of brings us on to all sorts of things about the actual act of being outside, whether you're going for a walk, a jog, riding your bike, whatever, that kind of thing. Fresh air, you're burning energy in there in a few different ways there, aren't you? I'm ticking a few boxes.
When I was working in the Middle East, it was so hot that people would go from one air conditioning unit to the next, so that you go from the apartment to the car and then the car to the hospital, and everything was air conditioned. The bits in between were really, really cold, really, really hot, right? We do the reverse. We've got this hot environment and we run through the cold to get into the car and get it hot. And then we run out of the car and get into the office because it's hot. Yeah. It's the reverse thing, really. Which it is, I mean, the biggest thing for me, and I mean, you're identifying it in with your attitude to riding bikes and walking, getting around places, is as soon as the weather starts to get a bit dodgy, people say, I'm not going out, I'm going to stay in. So, I mean, and that idea that it's never the wrong weather, it's just the wrong clothes.
Yeah.
There's,
I mean,
would you ride your bike in the pouring rain? Would you?
I would, yeah. And I did yesterday, in fact. I mean, it was pretty torrential yesterday, so I've took the kids to school on the bike, and Yeah, and I was out 3 times yesterday, and we had torrential rain on and off all day. So it's just habit for me. Like to get around on a bike is just like completely habitual for me. And I guess that brings me on to that it's the same with food for a lot of people. What we eat and our kind of patterns of eating throughout the year or daily habits are very habitual, aren't they? And as we know, habits are very hard to break.
Yeah.
Change.
The magic about a habit is that it's become part of your behavioral pattern. So it takes no kind of energy, no power, no willpower, nothing. Just do it. You don't even think about it. To change habits where you have to bring the willpower and the effort in to make it different.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the cinema last night and I met a couple of mates beforehand to have some food, and we all arrived at various different points. I travelled the furthest as it happened, but I rode my bike, and kind of it's always like they both drove because that's the mentality and the habit for them. And we had a brief discussion at the start about it, and yeah, I think they think that I do it kind of just to kind of prove a point a lot of the time. And there might have been a time when I was doing that, really, because when I was trying to break the habit of using a car to like transport me really like pathetically short distances. But I was trying to explain that it's not that anymore. It's just to like leave the house and grab my bike is just like completely second nature now. And it took time to get there. But yeah, like I say, it's just dead natural now. And I guess the same is for kind of the food that we reach for from the cupboards as well, right?
Yeah. But the thing is that when we go into the winter, people's carb intake increases, right? But I think this is what's been happening in lockdown, which is why people put on so much weight, is that when your serotonin levels in your brain drop so that you feel a bit blue, we automatically crave carbohydrates because carbs make the brain secrete serotonin so we feel better, which is the comfort food. So we do it in the winter naturally because we need the carbs, and we've lost the sunlight, so serotonin levels are dropping. So we do go for the carbs. But when people have been sat at home feeling really kind of depressed and they got COVID-itis, as in, I ate all this, and working from home, people have been eating more carbs. And yet, like I said, you can just walk around the streets and see it. And that there's a fashion for tighter clothing for people to wear, and it makes the weight gain even more obvious because of the tighter clothing.
Well, yeah, it depends how tight, but yeah. Yeah, fascinating world we live in, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about how do we. I mean, it's hard enough for me like trying to convince people to ride a bike every now and again for short trips. Speaking about getting people to change their diet and perhaps thinking about losing weight, within families and stuff, and close friends, that's a really tricky subject to broach, isn't it? And to kind of bring up because it backfires quite easily. So is there any hope for kind of asking friends and family, or is it just something that has to kind of come from within at some point?
There's something called Coué's law of reversed effort, where when you approach something the wrong way, you create the reverse effect. So if you tell someone that they're a fat bloater and they need to lose weight, they'll feel so depressed they're going to need more food.
Okay.
That kind of thing. But the easiest way to do things, I think, is by example. It's like if you're prepared to get off your butt and go and do stuff, and people say, "Are you really running that? Oh, wow." Yeah. Or if you're actually losing the weight. And I think that's where icons do come in. So Davina McCall.
After here, man. Hold that thought, okay. Davina McCall.
I got it.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. Did you get what you
Hey,
Did you get everything that you needed?
I think so. Yeah, whole
Sausages.
truckload of carbs just been delivered.
Fine.
All right, what were you saying then? I think you were just getting onto icons and Davina. Do you want to pick up there, and I'll carry on?
Look at Davina McCall, who's quite a iconic character, because she's been through her own issues. I mean, the whole issues of addiction for her are very public; they're not private. And she's overcome all kinds of things. But what she's managed to do, probably a little bit addicted to it, like we all get to whatever our behaviours is. She's now lost loads of weight and is very kind of lithe and muscular. But she's quite a good icon, you know. So, and I think that it's those kinds of things that are more likely to make people change. You know, if they can see people around them or people that they know that are changing, then it makes it possible for them. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, look around and look for kind of inspiration about people that are have kind of achieved that change. I mean, every now and again you do see, like, in fact, I met someone. I was at Claremont Farm recently, which is like a farm shop cafe near to us, and I was just kind of walking around with the lads, just kicking around, waiting for the food to come. And I spoke to a couple who'd arrived on bikes, so we were kind of eyeing up their. One of them had an e-bike, so I was like, "Oh, nice bit of kit." And it turned out that this chap had lost 12 stone through lockdown.
12 stone.
Well, wow. Yeah, and you know, he looked. I don't want to guess, but I would say he was probably about 13, 14 stone maybe when I saw him. So you know, you could tell he must have been like really huge. So one of those stories of just like a crazy weight loss, amazing, like inspirational, and you know, he'd feel. I think he kind of felt like he'd been reborn a little bit. And so I
used to work on a weight loss program for a major drug company, which I won't identify. I won't identify the drug, but it was a lipase inhibitor, so that if you ate any fat, it just went straight through you.
Okay.
So any fats would come out your bottom, like olive oil kind of thing, which was quite horrible. But the big people on that program were 30 plus stone. 37 was the biggest person I ever worked with.
Wow.
And they did phenomenal weight loss. You know, if you got someone at 37 who gets down to 20, that's like 17 stone. Like they've nearly halved their weight. And most of us would see 20 stone as being pretty big, you know, but being able to be able to lose it like that. But it's lovely when you see someone, and I presume they managed to do that just through exercise, was it? Exercise and diet.
Yeah, exercise. It was a range of things. We only briefly chatted about that, but the e-bike was actually one of the things. So even with the motor there, that it was just giving him that impetus to kind of be out and about, and a lot more than he could have. So so we do have these stories. You don't have to go to kind of find someone with 1 million or 10 million Instagram followers. There are people right around probably just around the corner from you that you can take inspiration from as well.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a guy, I don't know his name, but he started walking here about 2 years ago, and he was pretty big, an older chap. And he must have down there halved his body weight. And whereas when he first started walking a couple of years ago, because I can see the road from where I sit here, I see people walking past, and he wouldn't be moving too fast. But I've noticed, particularly later this summer, he was actually got quite a trot on. He was, you know, moving and lost loads of weight. Incredible.
Cool. I mean, we should also admit that, like you and I, Sean, we love our food, don't we? Like massively. So it's you don't have to kind of forego a relationship with food, because like for me, like food is one of the number one reasons for being alive on planet Earth. Like good food, you just can't beat, can you? So you don't need to starve yourself or live on like cardboard or just crackers for the rest of your life, do you?
No. And that's the bit that's really important, is that it's not what you eat, it's kind of how much you eat. So you can eat some really lovely food, but just don't pig out on it, is the thing. I mean, one of the worst things on the planet for me is that if we're sat on the sofa and a big bag of crisps appear, well, they don't make little bags anymore. They're like sort of pillowcases full of crisps, and whatever it is that they put on those crisps, they become moreish, and before you know it, the whole bag's gone if you're not careful. So in the end, it's like, can you take those away from me, because I'm going to eat more if you just leave them there. And then,
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I didn't get any food at the cinema last night. I just we just eaten. So, but it's quite easy to get a bucket full of popcorn, isn't it? And the drinks now are like massive. It must be like a litres worth of Coca-Cola you can buy for crazy prices. But that's what, it's easy to do, isn't it?
And what was it like in the cinema in terms of COVID and distancing and masks and all that kind of stuff? Nothing. No. No, the Odeon Bromber, it's kind of rebuilt. It's like they're all the seats now are those fancy ones that recline and stuff. Oh, right, yeah. So you got more space around you.
There is a lot more space just naturally, but yeah, it's life's back to normal in it. So crack on. I mean, I guess that's going to be another kind of potential set of. I've got people that I know in friends and family in the circles that are quite nervous still about getting on trains and public transport or going to places like the cinema. So blimey, strange times, eh? Yeah,
well, we've been being good in an ed sense, so that when we've had to go to Liverpool, we tend to get on the train these days, and that's quite interesting because I mean it's so much easier than actually driving. I mean, apart from being crazy cheaper, but the amount of people on the trains, I mean, virtually no one wears masks anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I think I don't think I did last time I was on the train last week. I think part of it is kind of you're just kind of responding to what everyone else is doing. So there's obviously there's a tipping point, isn't there, that if a certain number of people are wearing masks, everyone will do it. And then if a certain number of people aren't doing it, then everyone kind of follows suit and just says, oh, I don't want to be the odd one out. So again, it's psychology at play, isn't it? You must be loving it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
But I mean, I wear a mask by virtue of what I do, because I know about, the effects. And the point about wearing a mask isn't to stop getting it, it's to stop giving it.
Mm-hmm.
So I automatically put masks on when I go in places or get on a train. But people look at you like you're odd at the moment. If you've got a mask on, it's like, God, another one. It's that kind of attitude, like you're letting the side down by wearing a mask.
Yeah, well, now it's getting colder. I've got a scarf that is a wraparound thing, so it doubles as a face covering. So
what they call a snood.
It is a kind of snood, but it's a really thick, chunky, beautiful, like woolen one. So it's really cozy to wear. I like wearing it in the winter anyway, but doubles as a little face covering too. So
yeah.
Anyway, we're a bit off topic there. So just to kind of summarize then, as winter approaches now, because we're not in winter quite yet, but it will start cooling down. What kind of tips should we?
We get this. Everyone says no, winter doesn't start until the 21st of December. As far as your body is concerned, the change of the clocks going back is enough to start kicking it.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool. I reckon we're looking at the end of October for the beginning of our emotional winter.
Okay, interesting. Yep.
So when you go into October, November, it's light at the moment. Now, whether this is going to continue, I mean, it was pouring with rain yesterday. It's bright sunshine today. If we go into the dark in November, by the end of November, the depression starts. That's when people are going, oh, and that's when you've got to get your body moving, get off your butt and go and do something to get your system and to get your endorphins and your hormones flowing.
Yeah, so it's about that balance, is it? Because food will deliver an emotional hit as well. A good bowl of pasta will deliver that certain kind of chemistry. But if you need to combine it with some getting off your backside and doing stuff as well.
Yeah, if you go for a run, 20 minutes of running can have a similar effect to being out in the sun for like a few hours. Yeah, and if you're running in the sun as well, you got a double hit.
Yeah.
And by running, I don't mean sprinting. I mean, as long as you're having a trot or a jog, getting your heart rate up. That's the point. Mm-hmm. It takes 20 minutes of a high heart rate to get your brain to release the chemicals that you need.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What resources have you got then, Sean?
Well, I'm sticking in two. I'm sticking in the beach recording, which is on the site for sleep, because the other thing that happens is sleep pattern goes out, and that's one of the reasons why we start eating food as well. But if you read the blog, it's all in there. And the couch to 5K to get you up and going. So the beach to get you to sleep, and then the couch to get you up and get your system working. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to link to it. A couple of videos. One in the show notes about fasting, about the 5-2 diet that BBC Michael, what's his face? I forgot. His name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did. And then there's a TED talk about intermittent fasting. It's not something I kind of practice like through like choice, but I've kind of realized that the amount of time that I spend eating through a day is quite short because I don't have any breakfast. So and it kind of got me thinking about intermittent fasting, and there's some quite interesting stuff around that. So have a look at it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the caveat that we all have different metabolisms, don't we? And maybe get some advice from your doctor before you make any big changes.
I had one guy I worked with who went from 27 down to a stone down to 18 stone on the couch on the 5-2
diet.
Yeah, it took him about 18 months, but he lost that just eating ordinarily the other days as he would have done, but just having those 2 days made a difference. Huge.
Cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, Sean. Well, we'll leave it there, and we'll catch up again next week, eh?
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Take it easy. See you later.
See you. Bye.